welcome to the show. I have a new guest, new acquaintance. I've done some internet stalking. I have Zarina Wolf. Zarina, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, James. It's really great to be here and be part of the Clallam Corner.
Well, you come to us from an organization that I believe you founded called Village Heartbeat, correct?
Yes, that's
And,
correct.
and this is a really cool story about drumming, rhythm, teamwork. I've done a little bit of sleuthing, but before we get into your cause, something new for 2021 that I'm doing is I'm going to pepper you with a couple basic questions so we can warm up, feel good, and the crowd can get to know you a little bit. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. First question. It's 4th of July. You're lined up at the barbecue and you have a choice of hot dog or hamburger. What are we going with and why?
That's a really great question. Probably neither. But hamburger over hot dog, processed meat versus a patty, that kind of thing. So, yeah, that's it. But probably neither a salad or some crab.
Oh, well, you're in the right spot. Pacific Northwest, we can go with crab. And during the 4th of July, that's right around crabbing season. So we'll take that as a viable.
I'm going with the crab.
We'll go with option C for that. You've probably traveled a lot, which we're going to get to, but bucket list dream 10-day vacation. Money's not an option. What are you doing with 10-day vacation somewhere that someone else is paying for?
Oh, that's somebody else. I would like to go to the Galapagos. I've heard about the Galapagos, and friends of mine have, and I would like to take a trip there where it was like a more of a nature oriented, so that you get an in-depth experience of that the flora and fauna of the Galapagos Islands. It's fascinated
It's
me.
supposed to be a crazy ecosystem that creates
It is.
the opportunity for everything to be there, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we'll go with crab and the Galapagos. Okay, last question. We all find ourselves doing it. What are you passing time with during the pandemic on TV?
Oh.
Are you watching a show on Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube? Give me something that has captivated you over the last year on television.
Oh, I like a lot of things. I mean, one of the shows that really delighted me a great deal was a animated thing called Midnight Gospel, and it was on Netflix. I really recommend it for you. It's very there's no other word for it than trippy. Um, the graphics are almost psychedelic. But the content is what really interested me. It's about consciousness. It's about it's a funny story. It's like this guy goes to these different planets, but in each of these planets, there's a whole thought system that's going on. That's a thought system in our world today, and they kind of blow it up to show. Taken away from our day-to-day lives what these things look like,
Hmm.
and it talks about death and how we don't have a culture that really um, honors that we're still very afraid of death as a culture.
Oh yeah.
So I really love this. It was just a complete mind-blowing. And then, of course, the usual kind of the Queen's Gambit, amazing, amazing acting, amazing show. Bridgerton, a guilty pleasure. Uh, I mean,
Especially the
what?
wardrobes in Bridgerton. They're quite
Oh my
fancy, aren't
God!
they?
But for me, the big thing was seeing that they normalized the idea that black and white people could be living together. They normalized it. They made it a normal thing rather than oh, this is a black person in our culture. They were royalty and nobility that were also black. So it's kind of like another twist on a way of looking at things and normalizing everyday life. So I love that.
Okay, well, you've given us. I'll make sure to note those because I want to check out that
You
animated
got
one you
Midnight
said.
Gospel.
Midnight
It's gonna
Gospel.
blow your mind, and you get in touch with me after you see it.
Well,
Yeah,
speaking of culture, this is something you and I spoke about real briefly before we hopped on and hit record. But
right.
I would like for you first. I'm going to get myself in the mood here. So I'm going to bring in and I'm gonna make myself part of the circle. I did, like I said, I did some research. So there you are, right? That's you.
That's me.
What are you holding in your hand? Because it looks like you could be part of the Hunger Games. What do we have in your hand there?
I'm holding in my hand a beer bow, which
What?
is it's an instrument. It's a single stringed instrument, and it's percussive. It's more like a drone. And what I'm doing in that circle is not drumming, it is leading a rhythm circle with a group of people. Obviously, we all look really happy. There's one person, the man to my left, in my view, is playing the drum, which is kind of, yes, that's Michael. And he's kind of holding the heartbeat. And I'm playing everything in the heartbeat and teaching people how to step and play. Oh, yes, very good,
Sorry,
Jeff.
I'm distracting.
I don't even need to give you a lesson. That is just like, that was like so good. So this is a rhythm circle, and that's something that is very that isn't as well known as my work in drumming. So it's great that you picked out that picture
I love
because
it.
you know what I love about this picture is look at everybody's face.
Everyone's having a
I,
good time.
exactly.
Okay, I'm gonna quit distracting you, so that way I just wanted to show a
Oh,
little
that you
bit.
are so smart.
I wanted to show a little bit of what the world looks like, post, pre, and post COVID. But so talk to us about the about your organization, kind
Yeah,
of what it is, what
yeah.
it's been, and what you're doing today, because it has certainly changed, but you're still out there doing it. So talk to me about
Still
that.
out there doing it. Um, when I was very young, when I was about 8, somebody came to my elementary school, and it ended up being the teacher that I studied with for 14 years. But he came and put on a performance. And it was one of those kind of cultural, expansive performances, and it was a drumming performance. And it hit me right here in my heart. And it was like a seed that got planted. And I wanted to drum more than anything. Well, this is 1958 in New York, suburbs. There was no thing as drumming. There was, it was like it hadn't been invented yet, for the public. It was certainly well known among musicians, but not for the general public. So it took me another 25 years to find the right space and time to meet that same guy who was at my elementary school, and he became my teacher for the next 15 years.
You circled back late. That's awesome.
Yeah. So in that moment when I connected with what I felt was like my passion and my love, I saw a vision that this is a way to bring about peace. This is a way to bring about community where people don't have to say whether they're Democrat, Republican, and we could go into other labels, but I'm not going to. But you don't have to say what you are, what your bank account is, what your sexual preference is, any of that. You're just in a room with other people. And by creating sound together and uniting around the sound and the rhythmic patterns, you're creating community with diversity almost automatically. We don't have to like each other, but when we drum together, we end up actually loving each other because we need each other to make the music, to make the arc, to make the sound make sense. So from that, I was bitten by the bug. And then 3 years after that, I began teaching with my teachers, with him giving me a seal of approval. Go out there and teach. Yes, I can't be everywhere. He's right behind me right here. And that was the beginning. And I just taught what I knew. And everywhere I went and everything that I did going into schools, corporations, and working with people of all ages in nursing homes and all of that, I saw the same joy that you put in that picture. I saw that same feeling of like, we are the village. We are living in the village and we are helping each other and we're part of a group with each other. So that started 35 years ago, uh, and it just hasn't stopped. I mean, I haven't stopped. I wrote a book. Here's my book. Hey, everybody, buy this book. It's on Amazon.
Yep. Shout out to the author there. We've got the link to Amazon below as well.
And, but for me, it was more like connect the dots, connect the dots. So I lived in the Bay Area and moved up here about 11 years ago and just immediately went, well, okay, here we go, take two. Built a studio and and I have a wonderful group of community members that they cycle in and they cycle out. Sometimes people stay for a long time, sometimes people with me just a short time, but they feel this connection, this village heartbeat. That's what why the name of my group is
Love it.
Village Heartbeat, because it's like this idea that we are a village. We can learn how to be with each other, and we do it through the form of drumming or dance or singing. But really, it is about connecting people to each other and their basic pulse. You know, we all have this heartbeat. And so to go with the heartbeat rather than push away, oh, I'm an individual. You can be an individual in a group.
You
You
know, it's something when you're talking about this, it reminds me, these things have made us more connected than ever, but it seems like maybe some of it, like maybe I don't need to know everything I need to know about my neighbor and, my former coworkers and stuff, it, I think that there's something about the connectivity that you're doing that really connects, just to one of the most basic elements that what we know about each other isn't always a good thing. And you're talking about establishing a community that, is just out of something as simple and joyful. And these are things that span every single culture. Like you said, you go across the world, wherever, whatever era, there's always been music and dance, like anywhere you travel, that's part of what they are. And it's unique. So it's really cool that you're doing this.
And also the idea that we're a culture that loves superstars. We love Beyonce. We love Dr. Dre, and all the people that we idolize in the world of entertainment. But we forgot, if we participate together, we are that. Um, so the idea that that this is something that my teacher used to say, and it really touched me. I mean, when he would speak, it would just like reverberate inside me as truth. And one of the things he said is, put a drum in every home. That was his goal, was like everybody get a chance to drum together. Now, after doing this for 35 years, I can tell you I have worked with people of every culture, of every shape, size, persuasion. And it all boils down to the same thing. When we can learn to make that heartbeat sound together, we are one. Despite all of our differences, and oh, I'm a Christian and I'm a, Muslim or whatever it is. And that's what I'm going for, is the peace element.
We need a
So,
national drum together day, I think is what we need right now in 2021. That's what I'm talking about.
well, that's so then COVID happened, right?
Yeah.
So very quickly, my community, which is worldwide, figured out how to use Zoom and the settings in Zoom to work for drumming, so that there was no delay, that there was the best sound possible. So what we do is I play, and my screen is filled with beautiful pictures of all my tribe. And they're drumming with me, but we can't hear each other because of latency. That's just the way it is. But we are drumming together. And I can see, I've asked people to position their cameras so I can see their hands on the drum, so I can make corrections if I need to, or I can see if somebody's not getting the rhythm and I need to break it down even more.
So
And
does that, when you say the Zoom settings, because you can see this is not my first rodeo on Zoom.
yes,
Is it a mute all participants and you are the head honcho and everyone else is silenced, but you can just see that tat 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 tat
yes,
tat tat.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
I've got a funny story of the mute all, because with kids being homeschooled, back in September, there was a learning
yes.
point and there was a learning curve where everyone is trying to figure out, and it wasn't on Zoom, it's on Teams, but the same thing. And we're all huddled around I think kindergarten or first, one of my sons. And we're like, first day, like how exciting we're watching. And we could hear, everyone's got different stuffs. I think someone's doing it from a cell phone, the kids walking around, and someone was, I can't figure out the GD sound. And we're both like, and so we like message, maybe you could try to learn the mute all thing. So that way, when the teacher is getting everything set up, it's mute all participants. Cause the parents it wasn't the kids saying bad things. It was the parents in the back.
There are so many mistakes you can make on Zoom. It's hysterical. And there you are in the middle of a class. Oh, everything is going. You're working it. I now I record tracks, so I am not playing alone anymore. I'm playing to my own tracks with them playing, and then all of a sudden the internet goes out.
Lovely.
So I mean that's just the way it is now, and you every point of this has been keep learning, keep going, keep finding a way to present this to others. And for some people, it's not satisfying sitting watching a screen of and listening to me drumming. I understand that. But seeing each other's faces, looking around and seeing everybody's face, and just having that check in, like some of the people in my drumming class are working on the vaccinations. So just getting the information from that, just going, thumbs up, guys, you're doing such a great job. The way of spreading information, positive information. It's all about peace. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm not. I get pissed off like everybody else does. But the point is I keep coming back to this place, the heartbeat, which is neutral. It doesn't say you're good and I'm bad and this is good and that's bad. It says let's find a place where we can all play together. Out of that playing will come a kind of harmony. Then let's have the discussion about how we're different.
Well, I love what you're doing. I love the message. I think it's a great thing that you bring to our community. And now with Zoom, you're realizing it doesn't have to be just the, vicinity. It's not people within 10 miles. It can be really anyone. So I'm assuming I'll go ahead and hit the plug here. I'm assuming no prior skill, probably even better if you have no prior skill, come in with an open mind, open heart, and just come and play and have fun. I've linked the website below, villageheartbeat.com.
Great.
Also, web or email is zarina@villageheartbeat.com. When are the Zoom classes? If people are asking about they want to get in on this, can they hop on and check one out as a kind of a voyeur without being a member
Sure.
first and seeing what's going on?
Yeah. Next week I'm taking off, but it's Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays from 10:30 to 11:30 in the morning. And if there are enough people that are interested that have never drummed before, I'll start a beginner class, so that I can get them up to speed because the people that have been working with me since COVID started have been, in the beginning I was crazy. I don't know what I was thinking, but for 6 months I did it every day. And I
It's
think
because you had nothing to do. COVID, like that, the first 6 weeks, we all sat around doing nothing, like literally nothing.
yeah, so I think that I really needed that kind of calming. And, so for me, it was my own therapy. And then it became, 3 times a week and then a 6 week series so that I get a little time off. And then I have an
Absolutely.
intermediate class too. I do have people that have been studying with me for a number of years, and they're pretty impressive. Look at that kitty. Uh, I just saw a little tail.
Oh,
No, it's a dog.
that's my dog Griffey. He's in the background. Let me see if I can give Griffey a little spotlight there.
Griffey!
There's the Griff dog giving
Oh,
himself a
he's so
scratch.
cute.
Well, what a great way to end the segment. We'll get on the drum together.
Oh, anytime, honey. Oh, and you got the posture. I'm with you already.
Well,
But
all I'm saying is that if you're from the Bay Area, I'm surprised it wasn't like a shout out to like Tupac or E40, but you went with Dr. Dre. He's not quite Bay Area, but he is West Coast. So I appreciate that as well.
yeah, love the guy. Yeah.
Well, villageheartbeat.com. You've got all the contact and everything below. Zarina, your 15 minutes of fame on Clallam Corner are over, but it looks like you have one more thing to say. You have one more thing?
Get me into the school system. please. I don't care if I start with the Boys and Girls Club, that's fine. I want to teach children.
All
That's
right, you hear
all I'm
that?
saying.
Swim School District, Port Angeles School District, Boys and Girls Club. You've heard it here first. We need to get drumming in the schools, get it earlier than later, and get started, right?
Right on.
Awesome. Well, it was a pleasure. Your fame is up. Painless, right?
Painless, and what a beautiful interviewer.
I don't know about that, but hey, I'm worth every dime that people are paying me. Let's just say that.
Exactly. And you've got a great team at the place that at Castile.
Well,
It's wonderful.
well, I appreciate that so much. Thank you for what you're doing, and I hope that I can bring a few more eyes and maybe some hands to the circle at some point in time.
That's wonderful.
All right, Serena, thanks for joining.